Welcome, everybody, to End Groove with Alex Marrero. I'm honored to be joined by two members of one of Austin's hottest current Latin bands, if you will. The Animeros, Mauro and Nick. Welcome,
Howdy.
y'all. I'm going to start with some fun stuff. Y'all just came back from Europe. What was that like?
It was awesome. That was our first time ever taking this band, overseas. And we had a really great time. We played 4 shows in Europe. All of them were really great, but these 2 festivals we played in the middle of the run, this one in Belgium, one in the Netherlands, were incredible. Especially that Belgian festival, right? Was like
Belgium was mind blowing,
amazing,
like surreal. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, so y'all played there before at all in any capacity?
No,
First time.
yeah. So
completely
much so
first
that
time.
here's something I learned the hard way. We're in Paris. It's our first show. We're sound checking. I connect my pedal board, and then smoke just starts coming out. I'm like, okay, what happened?
Nobody warned you.
Nobody
about
warned me
that.
about the conversion. So I had an adapter, no conversion. That's how much we haven't been overseas.
Did you
but
burn?
I did. I had to go to a music store and then get just some 9-volt adapters that, gave me a good enough pedal board. And then when we hit London, I bought a Strymon power brick just to do the conversion. And
Damn.
yeah, and something just started smoking, and my pedal board died an hour before we went on stage. So I was like,
Did you have to play without effects?
the opening act, he was like a solo guitarist guy, but he had like 2 9-volts that I could connect to like my most crucial tone building pedals. So it didn't sound as bad as soundcheck. When we were playing soundcheck, it sounded like just so bad. It sounded like, have you seen the clip Santana Shreds on YouTube?
Oh yeah,
where that was my guitar tone. It was so
Moto
bad.
Shreds.
I was like, this is going to
in
be
Europe.
terrible. Yeah.
European edition.
But anyways, yeah.
So, what did you find to be the most interesting distinctions from touring in the States and audiences? Did you find that they treated you differently than, say, when you play Saskatchewan in the whatever tavern?
In France, that was our first show of the run. It was our most unique situation because that was like a little theater. It was really cool. It was a little theater, very like kind of a shotgun straight room. And then what was interesting about it is that audiences sit down.
Oh yeah, Nico was telling me about that. Nico, shout out to Nico. The bass player in the band couldn't make it today, but shout out to you,
Nico.
But yeah, he was saying there was actual little
there were seats. It was
yeah.
a cool little theater. They do like plays and poetry reading and maybe comedy sometimes, and then some might be acoustic music. I think is a common thing there, and it went really well. And it was everything sounded great. Even with our electrical troubles like we had. But yeah, just those little cultural details. People were sitting down during our show, which is uncommon for us, but
because it's dance music.
we try to be.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
there was a bar in the back, and I think some people opted to just hang out by the bar and dance the whole night.
Dance and
Just
drink.
We couldn't see, really with the lights, we couldn't see it. But afterwards, like, oh man, we were dancing the whole time, and we just stood up and we just hung out by the bar.
Right.
So yeah,
Excellent.
it's the best form of applause. Well,
yeah.
let me
Go ahead.
also give my take because
Please.
there were some like that venue specifically was a little bit because it was a theater, something that we weren't used to, but
That seems more like a specialty anomaly.
yeah,
venue.
it was just a real interesting venue.
Yeah.
Everything, like we played 2 festivals and then a club. And I feel like I did feel like, we've been very lucky to have a good response at our venues that we play in the States. But I felt like the appreciation for music there was heightened or something like that. And we had Brian from The Sword, we had played a show that he had helped promote out in Taylor. And he's like, oh, you guys are going to Europe. You guys are going to love it. They're going to treat you guys so good.
Shout out to Brian.
Yeah, Brian. I mean, and he even reached out to me on Instagram after. He's like, I told you. I mean, the green room situations, the food that they like provide us.
The
was
catering
like,
was-
That's kind of what I was getting at.
It was incredible food. Like we're like, this is this is like the food that we get to eat. It was great.
Festival catering was amazing.
Yes.
And then afterwards, the people, especially like we saw it in Belgium, it reminded me a little bit of like a regional festival in Austin where people are there. They really want to watch music. You don't see many phones, and afterwards, you go cool off, and then you walk through the crowd, and everybody's like, "Hey, that was great," and they're stopping you, and they want to talk, and they want to tell you about how they felt about the music. I mean, that happened at every venue, but in Europe, but Belgium specifically, everybody wanted to just talk and chat, and it was awesome. I felt like I hadn't really seen that as much when we play in the States. It felt
There's
very
just
appreciative.
that's kind of what I was getting at, because I've toured in both, and there's a clear distinction to me in how it's just a different continent.
Yeah.
And people have different value sets and different perceptions, and they really value the arts, and they value artists, and they make you feel like you're valued in a different way than they do it here. And it's also cultural. It's also, there's multiple reasons why, but I'm always curious, especially people who have toured a lot here and then they go there. It's like, whoa, it's a different world. So let's talk a little bit about background. So Nick, I've always wondered about your last name, Nick Tozzo. It's an Italian name. Mm-hmm. What's your background? Where were you born?
I was born in South Texas. I was born in Harlingen, Texas, on the border in the Rio Grande Valley. But my dad is from Connecticut. So my dad's like Connecticut Italian, and my mom is from South Texas.
Oh, right on.
And my older brother was born in Connecticut when my parents lived up there. But yeah, I'm born and raised in the Valley.
Oh, right on. Cool. So where did you're a very schooled musician. What's your background as far as music schooling and preparation?
I got into playing drums, in middle school band, high school band, like a lot of kids. I was a drum set player, and I had played a little bit of hand drums here and there. And I always had like jam bands all through high school. Shout out to the Sideburns.
The Sideburns. Nice.
Yeah. And so that was like my high school jam band. That's what I really loved. And then when I went to college for music at Texas State. And the first time I ever saw a live salsa band performing was Salsa del Rio, of which you and I are both alums.
Alums, yeah. I sang with them when I was out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, October 2007, I saw Salsa del Rio. It was the first live salsa band I ever saw.
What was the name of the professor, the band leader?
John Lopez. Yeah. Shout out my mentor and guy that taught me so much, John Lopez. And seeing that band, seeing that like percussion section work together, all three, timbales, bongos, and congas, all working together and going back and forth. I was like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
It's fantastic.
It's literally my love at first sight story. And I said, I have to learn how to do that. I went immediately up to the conga player. Shout out Rene Gonzalez.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, brother from friend of mine for many years. I was like, man, can you? I played some congas. I'd played a little bit of hand drums. I was like, can you show me like these patterns and stuff? And he did. He showed me a few things, and then I tried out for the band the next year or semester, whenever it was, and I just spent the rest of my time trying to learn how to do salsa, trying to learn.
Yeah.
And then that's spiraled off into a bunch of other types of Latin music that I've since started to try to learn. I don't know enough of anything, but I keep trying to learn.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
So what did you study?
I was like a BA in music. I had a music degree with a business minor.
Oh, okay. So you did study music.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Mauro, I first met you here in town. You were playing keys with the Los Sundowns. So what's your background and how did you end up in Austin?
So I'm also from the Valley. I'm from a town called Far, that's an actual border town. We have a bridge to Reynosa, Tamaulipas, and grew up. I guess my background, I didn't do any formal music training. My dad and mom introduced me and my sister to just a bunch of music, just passively. My dad would like just blare the stereo like all the time, different types of music. So I kind of grew up with a lot of music in the house, and then just ended up loving music on my own when MTV was, on all night. So just fell in love with music. My dad got me my first guitar, started playing that. He got me a drum set, started playing that in high school. And then I moved when I was 19. I played in some bands down there. We did some road dates, nothing major. When I was 19 or 20, I moved to Texas State to go to school. And then just really went to school, didn't play much. I played here and there with friends.
What'd you study there?
English and mass communication. Yeah. So nothing that I'm really using too much now, but it was great schooling. I love the school, and I love the mass communication part of it because I worked for radio. I worked at KTSW. That was awesome.
Nice.
Still keep in touch with some people I met through the radio station there. I didn't really play a whole lot, and this might be like kind of surprising, but it really wasn't until the pandemic. And you mentioned the point. Nico and I had Nico from the point, and I have a similar story where the pandemic, the experience that I had that he said that he kind of had was like, I'm going to use this time to like try to do something that like I've been wanting to do, work on my own stuff. So when the pandemic hit, and I'll tie this into the Los Sundowns.
I can't wait.
I picked up my guitar again. I got hit up by John Dell because I put together like a small EP of like 5 cumbia tunes like in 2017, released it, was looking for band members. John Dell, I didn't know him, but John Dell of Vertule, Los Desechos, he hit me up and he's like, hey man, I heard that. Do you want to get together and play keys? I was like, well, I don't have a keyboard, but maybe I could buy one. And so me and John started El Combo Oscuro. It started picking up a lot of steam. We recorded at Beto's. Being a fan of not only just like the music, I really was a big fan of Grupo Fantasma and Money Chicha and Brownout. Going and recording at Leche House with Beto, I was like, oh man, I'm meeting somebody who like, it like inspires me, but is also like, you know, like I'm here at the studio. He's like local, and he had just started the Los Sundowns. I wasn't really a keyboard player. You know, I just started with El Combo Oscuro, but
How did you start playing keys? Did you just stumble onto it?
I mean, I had a piano. I knew some like like some honky tonk stuff on piano, like not really the style of anything Latin. And so really, if you were to listen to like the first El Combo Oscuro stuff, I mean, I'm really just like squirreling around on there. I'm not really doing anything that I ended up picking up over the years. But when I had asked Beto, I was like, hey man, if you need a keyboard player, let me know, man. And he's like, dude, I recorded the key parts myself with 3 fingers. So if I could do it, you could do it. I was like, okay, cool. And so we had automatically like just kind of very early on hit it off. So he pitched it to Daniel, and then I ended up playing keys with them. And that opportunity really just did open up like a lot of doors for me, I think.
Sure.
I even remember the night before the first Sea-Boys gig with the Los Sundowns, I was like, man, this is it. And this sounds like a little corny and maybe hokey, but I was like, when I walk out this door and I play tonight, like things are going to change, because I had been watching Brownout, Grupo Fantasma, Money Chicha. Like I didn't know anybody in the scene. I didn't know Nick. I didn't know any of the guys from Superfónicos.
Yeah.
I was like,
And you were shy, I remember.
And I didn't know anybody, man. You know, like I didn't even know if I was a good player.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah,
So I was like, okay,
totally.
cool. And really that just, man, the Los Sundowns helped me navigate sort of the music world, because I met Nick through the Los Sundowns gig.
Yeah.
And then Nick joined El Combo Oscuro, and then we would like, him and I wrote an EP together, just him and I, where I was playing guitar. Nick didn't even know I played guitar, I don't think.
No,
And then-
that might have been when I found out. Yeah, when we did Nick Tozzo or Del Toro's and Nick Tozzo Presents.
Yep.
Yeah, and then so we recorded that, and he's like, you know what, man,
Which is
maybe we
cool.
could turn this.
I like it.
Nico and Superfónicos has been talking about something. I ended up joining Superfónicos as
Correct.
a guitarist. Then we're like, well, I've been wanting to play guitar. It was my primary instrument.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how the Animeros kind of came to be. It's like, man, I would love to play guitar and find a keyboard player. I could write some of the main keyboard parts, just like Nick writes like the percussion part, and we could find a percussionist. And so, yeah, that was the start. That's like my long-winded background, but really
No, that's
not
great.
coming
No,
from.
that's great. I was curious about some of those details because
Yeah.
I was there and I saw it all happen.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
remember-
nice to hear the details behind it.
Yeah, you were there at the Los Sundowns residencies. I remember sitting let me talk about this, because it was really like, I knew nobody. So like being at Beto's at rehearsal, I remember it was like Kino was going to be on a song from Grupo Fantasma.
Yeah.
You were going to be on a song. Who else is on a song? Kalu James is going to be on a song.
Yeah.
So we were there just practicing, and it seemed like a Seinfeld episode where like, okay, Alex Marrero's going to walk through the door, run a song. Okay, Gino's going to walk in. I'm like, dude, I've seen all these dudes for years. Oh, Khalid James is going to come in. Okay, like it was like a super cool experience. And again, I got to meet everybody over the years.
Was I the Kramer character?
Yeah, you were the Kramer character, just like coming in, and bumping into stuff.
So okay, that leads us. It's a good segue because that leads us to Hotel de Nova.
Yeah,
right. I'm never going to forget that. I still love that name.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'm one of the first people to toot my own horn. I think I'm one of the first people that have played y'all stuff on the radio.
You're easily the first guy to play us on the radio.
That was the Hotel de Nova, and then suddenly y'all are sending me stuff with Animeros. I'm like, what happened to the cool name? But I totally get it because there's so many shishi boutique hotels all over now that it could be so confusing. Like, we're a band, we're not a boutique hotel.
We're not. Yeah.
How did that change? Was that when you connected with a label? Or?
It is. Yeah. So we we started off, the original band name was Hotel de Nova. We kind of had a little bit of a concept of that, because the music, especially early on, we've kind of defined our sound a little bit more now, I think. But when we were brainstorming and what do we want this to sound like, Mauro and I are both very into like exotica and like soundtrack, like especially like Italian film soundtracks type stuff. And then of course there's the cumbia and salsa stuff that we all love, and Nico's such a reggae guy, so we're like such a reggae like master and really incredibly knowledgeable. And so we were like, well, we have all these different sounds, and the exotica thing is kind of weird. What is, so like the Hotel de Nova, it's like a new sound. It's not in English. It's not in Spanish. This is like the kind of music you might dance to at whatever, like Hotel California, like a mystical hotel in a weird fake, whatever. So we kind of had a bit of a concept. We liked it. I liked it particularly because like finally I'm in a band that my mom can pronounce.
That changed very quickly.
Yeah. I was like, because you can say it Hotel de Nova if you want to be like Spanish, or you can say
de Nova.
Totally straight, however you want. I also like that we're always kind of riding that line between English and Spanish.
Of course. I mean, it's part of who you are.
Yeah, it's a big like influence of us, and just being in Texas music in general.
And where y'all were born.
Very literally,
in between those two cultures.
Yeah.
So we liked it for those reasons. And then when we were playing at a hotel, when we got discovered, if I can put that in air quotes, by Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys, he heard us from the sidewalk. We were on the rooftop, couldn't see us. I always say, like, thank God he couldn't see us, because he would have seen, 5 dudes in their late 30s. Like, he would have never signed us if he could have seen how uncool we look. But he loved the music, and he went to the front desk. He's like, who's this playing? The woman at the front desk didn't know. He had his team reach out to us. They got in touch with us, but I think it took them a while. Their confusion of, we were at a hotel, the name, the band's name, hotel.
It was a very exactly. Sort of thing. He's like, no,
proving the point from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't think we were gonna make it out of Austin. We were like, this is a side project to some other well-established bands in Austin. We're gonna play around, do what we can. It's gonna be just another outlet for us musically. Yeah. And then,
so before you go there, I'm curious, because I've been a part of many large bands, and I'm part of a community of historically large bands. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing you sub for John Spees on Money Chicha. Mm-hmm. Did that kind of show you an inclination of like, man, I'm in this big band, maybe a smaller combo is going to help us? Because that's how they developed, right? It was
Absolutely.
Like, we need like, it's in their name, Money Chicha, right? Like, we need a smaller combo so we can try and make some money. Was that an inspiration in some capacity?
Almost everything.
Because Superfónicos, y'all's regular band, is another 9-10 piece band or something.
Yeah, we were 8 piece for many years, and now 7. Phantasma, Brownout, Money Chicha, and every single individual in those bands has been huge influences and inspirations to us all the way. And we absolutely thought of like a Money Chicha thing. We said, Superfónicos was 8 people at the time, and Superfónicos had been around a while. It's a fantastic band. We're still
Great
playing.
band. Yeah.
Yeah. Come out to Colombian Independence Day, July 19th, Continental Club.
I don't know if this will be out by then.
All right. Never mind. I hope you had a good time.
Edit.
You had a great time. Thanks for being there. But we were 8 people. It was hard to go on the road. It's hard to travel with that band.
100%.
It's hard to do a lot of things. That band's also been around a while. We've Superfónicos has built up like, we kind of have a minimum threshold we can take.
Yeah.
To really pull the curtain aside, when Nico and I started talking about like what could we do with a smaller band before we even were like before we even got to the point of who can we get, and obviously the first guy was like, we have to have Mauro. The idea was, and I pitched it to me, Nico was like, you don't even have to do any booking. Superfónicos has like a minimum number, but we get offers for stuff that's like less.
Exactly.
And we have to say no because we can't.
Because there's too many people.
But at this point, just say Superfónicos can't, but we have another project that could at that budget, at that price point, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And let's just see what that is. Don't even try to book the new project. Let's just take Superfónicos spill off.
Yep.
That's how low my sights were set.
Well, I mean, that's no different than how the Money Chicha do it. It's like it's just a logistical thing, and it's money on the table and work, and we all want to work because we love to play. Right. So I mean, it's a logical system, and I'm glad it worked. Yeah. Because look, we're here. Y'all went to Europe. It's a great thing. So I was curious about that. I was always curious about that. So let's come back around to the Dan Auerbach experience. So he sees you, he figures out you're in a hotel, but your name is a hotel, and he's confused, but he reaches out, that connection happens, and then what?
I mean, you might be able to sum it up a little bit.
Okay. When we finally got in touch,
I'll ask you some more shit.
His people get in touch with us. This is he heard us during South by, our second show ever. We're playing a unofficial South by show on a hotel rooftop. He hears us. Once we get in touch, we have some conversations. Mauro, who is in charge of like all of our social media stuff and all of our computer stuff, he sees our plays we had an EP out on Spotify. We see that in Nashville, this thing's starting to get some plays. We found out later that they're playing it there, they're listening to it, they're having discussions like, do we like this band? Like, what do we think we can do? We had a breakfast meeting with him the next month, April 8th or 9th, day after that eclipse we had in 2024. We met him and and Alan, his like the head engineer for the studio. We met them for breakfast, and we were just talking music. He was telling us about, he's a vinyl DJ. They do those record hangs, the Black Keys, and he's got a huge 45 collection. He loves cumbia. He has a encyclopedic knowledge of music of all genres, but he knew so much more about cumbia and Latin music than we ever would have expected.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I've heard he has vast knowledge about a lot of music.
He's incredible. And then, so Nico's also a vinyl DJ, and they were bonding over that. We're talking about influences. We're talking about stuff. And just having breakfast and having a good time. And then at some point, Dan turns to his guy Alan and is like, we should invite these guys up to Nashville to listen to some music. Again, I don't even know what that means. We've just been talking about influences. I was like, maybe he wants to just fly us up and like, we'll listen to stuff, talk about influences. Maybe he wants to write an album with us. We don't know what that means.
It could be anything. It could be just a hang.
But after that, it became apparent when he started asking us for demos. I was like, oh, he wants us to record some stuff. So we started writing. We had a few songs. We had 7 songs that we were performing live that we didn't record for our EP, our self-published EP. We started writing new stuff. And he sent us some covers, or he sent us some songs. He's like, you might want to try to cover this. Maybe you'll like it. Some of it we really loved and connected with. So we did a cover of it. And we just started sending him demos and stuff like that. And he was giving us some feedback on stuff, not a ton. But he's like, great, I'll see you guys in June. And they flew us up there, and then we went to record. You
recorded in what studio?
Easy Eye Sound.
Right on.
In Nashville.
So Mauro, you've clearly gone outside of the doors of Seaboys at this point. You're in Nashville. You're in that studio.
Yeah.
How does his production approach apply to y'all? Like when he's producing a band like y'all, what does that look like? Y'all have songs, the arrangements are done. Are you performing? What's his approach? Is he working on arrangement with you? What was that like?
Well, let me back up just a bit. Some of the songs that we took, because we ended up with recording 20 songs, some of them we hadn't even really played in a room except for maybe once the weekend before we were flying out. So we kind of knew where we were going to land, but we didn't know exactly all the details. So we just took a lot into the studio and really.
What was the, not to interrupt, what was the cover to originals ratio at this point?
Maybe like 30% covers.
I mean, of the 20 songs, 4 of them are covers.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Right on.
So,
Less than that.
Sorry,
so.
proceed.
yeah.
So we went in and we're like, okay, are we going to have some time to write? Are they going to want to provide some input? It really did just feel like we were running the tunes in Nick's living room the weekend before. And they're like, okay, well, what do you guys have? Everything's mic'd up now. What's this song called? And we would listen to the demo. They're like, okay, cool. They would get some production ideas, hit record, turn on the metronome, and we were playing live, but just to a metronome, just so you know,
so you can edit if
consistency,
necessary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we would run the tune 2 or 3 times, and then go into the control room. Nick would go in and overdub hand percussion, and Mikey Rojas, who's a keyboardist from Nashville, would lay down some keys, and then we would listen to it and be like, okay, that sounds good. Have no notes. What's the next song? Hit record. And we just did that for 4 days. There were maybe 2 or 3 times where Dan would say, hey, try this, just because, we're instrumental. So how can we kind of break things up a little bit? Maybe change the octave that you're playing this riff, or try this guitar, or can you shorten that section of the song because you guys have already done it.
And he's a super gearhead as far as guitar goes.
Great. I mean,
so that must have been
it was
super
awesome,
compelling.
Yeah, it was just walls of guitar. And so when I would play, sometimes he'd be like, oh, hold on, try this one out. And like I would be playing it again, Dan Auerbach, like we had just really met, and I would be playing it and he would just be looking at me like, so what do you think? It's awesome, right? And I'd be like, yeah, it's awesome. This is incredible. And he's like, we had a few amps that we were running, and he would kind of run them in stereo with multiple mics. And he would be like, oh, you got to stand here. Look, come and stand here. He was just real proud of his studio. It's an awesome studio. Yeah. And again, he's just a fan of music, like a genuine fan of music. So we felt that the whole week. And in terms of what the relationship in terms of songwriting was, really, it never felt like the spirit of the song was changing. The insight that he was providing was like, hey, when this ends up on an album, let's shorten it a little bit. Let's get to the meat and potatoes a little bit quicker. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was really like a week of bring your stuff, man. Let's hit record. What do you guys have? And another great thing, just while we were playing, we would see the guys in the control room just jamming out and loving it. And it was real reassuring. It was it was a great energy, a great vibe to have in a studio when you're just, really trying to knock stuff out and really try stuff out. And so it was awesome.
That's the way, I mean, that's such an anomaly these days, and it's so smart of him. Obviously, he is who he is for very good reasons. And when you have a band that can play, just let them play and capture that. And then you can finesse things and, whatever. Oh, this one needs to be 3 minutes because it's just got the hook but the live energy is something that's so important. And I feel like it's missing so much in a lot of modern music that I'm so glad to hear that, because it also comes across in the recordings.
Yeah.
All the records we love, for the most part, were recorded that way.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I'll encounter young musicians who have never recorded that way. And to me, that's just like mind blowing. Like, you've never just performed live in the studio. It's just a different world. It's a different
It's
time.
all just mapping everything to a grid,
and
like
everything
super
gridding,
precisely.
and it's just kind of sucking the life sometimes. I'm not knocking approaches. Music can be made in any number of ways, whatever's effective.
Yeah. And just one last thing, because you were saying, like, even with the pedals, and when he was tuning the room, liked our instruments, or when we were listening to a mix, I feel like him or the team would always say, "What do you guys think?" Like we would listen to it, like, "What do you think? Is this good?" And to me, that's always really important in the studio because we're going in, we're like, okay, like we want the ability to and say, have the ability to say, I don't know if I like that or whatever. There was not much that we didn't like. I don't know if there's anything that they presented that we didn't like, but just to have that question always there and the freedom to be like, you know what, maybe this isn't the way. I mean, just what do you guys think was made it a really great relationship between us and them.
Understanding, trust, and respect in the process, and knowing like we got good players. This is their project. Clearly, we found them doing their thing. They have taste. Let's collaboration, right?
Yeah, exactly. We felt great about it.
So you recorded 20 songs, and y'all are releasing a bunch of singles. Is there an album that will be released at some point?
Yes, there is an album coming out later this year. We're announcing the album later this month. Details are being lined up. I know the official album announcement comes out is going to be soon. Thus far, we've been doing singles, which has been great, and also they've been super supportive for all of our singles. They've given us. We've done like physical vinyl 45 singles.
Nice.
When we started like coming up with a release thing, Dan and the everybody else at Easy Eye was like, let's do that. Let's be a part of that. Just to have some stuff coming out. We'll do, we'll get you guys some singles and try to get you into those DJ rotations. And also, even if not, we're being a part of it. Let's just do it.
Doing. Yeah, it's great.
That's what Cumbia guys do. Let's be those guys. Let's do it.
Yeah, honoring the traditions of how a lot of this music worked.
Exactly. Yeah, so we've been really fortunate with like that level of support for sure. And then once we figure out our album details pretty soon and announce our release date and everything, then we move into like the full album cycle. Yeah, exactly. So we can't wait for all that.
Cool. I like it. What do you feel are some of the challenges to being a musician in 2026 in general, whether it be in Austin or in general? But let's just in Austin.
I mean, the challenges to being a musician is, obviously, first of all, rents keeps going up, and it's hard. It gets very hard to make it. The personal challenge I'm facing is obviously like this with I'm very fortunate, the success of the Animeros, but I, like you mentioned, playing a ton of different bands. And then when I'm just in town, I can do Thursday with one band, Friday with this one, Saturday with another one. I get to work a lot, maybe even 2 a night if if they're nearby. Yeah. Hustle as much as you can. We're now getting all this road opportunity, which is incredible. But I'm missing out on, gigs with like Caravan Strange that I play, or
great project, by the way.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah. Super proud of that. I play with another guy named Gypsy Mitchell. I play with a handful of artists, and I've had to start missing other gigs because we're on the road. We might have an off day on the road because we're just traveling that day, but like we're traveling. There's like a Friday in June that we're going to be just traveling. Yeah. And it's like I had to turn down like 2 things in Austin that were that day. But it's
well, then it becomes a balancing act. What do you want to do? Do you want to be on the road pushing something of your own that is trying to get some legs, or do you want to stay local and play in 12 bands?
Of course. And obviously this thing is, personally, this is like my priority, and obviously, but it is, it's still growing pains in this early thing as I figure out what it means to be a touring musician.
So you don't have a lot of touring experience in general?
Not a ton. I have a handful of runs with different bands over the years, but this is certainly the first time I've ever, we did 2 weeks from the end of May to the end of April to beginning of May. That was my first 2-week thing I'd ever done.
Okay. Yeah. It does take a minute to adjust to that. And that sense of missing work is real. Because you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's funny what happens sometimes. People think, I think I've mentioned this before with another band, if you're out and people see that you're this and, the Dan Auerbach and, they're on tour. Then you come home and, he must be too busy. he must be too expensive. And you're like, I need to pay my rent,
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
Yeah. If anybody, where's my camera? I'm not too expensive for you. I assure you, you can afford me.
What about you, Mauro? What do you think are some of your challenges?
I think same thing as Austin's not the least expensive place to live. Although I will say Austin still is a great place for musicians. And because somebody was recently saying like, well, is Austin still the live music capital of the world? And I'm like, well, there's music going on all the time. Like if you don't think it's a live music something, then you're just not looking because there's music everywhere.
Yes.
Is it a centralized? Maybe not. But the other things that make Austin, that kind of offset the cost of living here are things like Ham or Sims or KTX support or Waterloo. I mean, all those things are things that you don't get in any other city, or not in a lot of cities.
Most cities don't have anything like, I mean, as far as Ham and Sims.
Yeah.
So
you have this crazy support system that helps offset some of those living costs for musicians and some of the grind that you need to go through in order to get your music out there. So there's a lot of resources. The other part is really the challenge is standing out in like a pool of just tons of music and media out there. So when you're on social media, you know, everybody, the attention span has obviously, you know, like decreased, right? Yeah. So how do you just pack a big enough punch to really break through some of that noise is really a challenge. And we're not social media illiterate. We know how to do it, but even knowing how to do it also comes with like a lot of learning that you need to go through to say, okay, well, that's not working, or we need to make sure everything that we put out looks a certain way or sounds a certain way. And I'm not against it. I love branding and I love storytelling as a band. That's like, I love when I see a band and they have a brand and they have a story. It just takes a lot of time.
Because you also do graphic design.
Yeah, graphic design, web design, branding, all that stuff. I kind of work in that world as well. And so all that stuff takes a little bit of time. So it's not only the music that you're trying to do. The challenge comes with, we have this product that we're real proud of. How do we get it out there? And how do we get it out there in a way that's going to resonate? And that's just the challenge. And all the musicians are going through that. But you know, it's worth investing some time in. Again, social media is like a necessary evil. Sometimes I'm like, man, we got to keep on posting stuff and we got to create content, and it is tiring and it hurts sometimes, but man, it really, we've seen the result of it. And it gives us access directly to people, to listeners and new fans. So
I find that music has become so undervalued because everything is just so easily accessible that people forget how important it is in their lives, and that takes time and skill and development to work towards being able to create something that moves someone else, right? And when you end up being distracted by all these other things that you have to learn how to do to promote, and we have to wear so many hats just to be able to start doing what we do, it's exhausting. I mean, the days of just playing music, I mean, and you guys have a label right now, which is supportive, which is amazing. Yeah. But huge even with that, y'all have to do a bunch of stuff,
content creation,
because content, and you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Like that's where people's eyeballs are. All of ours. I'm in there as well, because that's the world we live in. I wish people would appreciate the value that music has in their lives a little more, because it's easy to forget that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get off my soapbox now. What's a record for each of you that is not Latin music related that people would be surprised, that's kind of coming out of left field, that you were at some point in your life you were obsessed with?
The Decline by NoFX, 17-minute punk song, which to me, it kind of redefined punk in a sense that punk is usually 2 minutes of ba 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 da 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 da. You know, like it's like
condensed intensity. of
yeah, it's
punk.
condensed intensity. They did 17 minutes of it, and it's very tongue in cheek. It's well written lyrically and musically. That's a great album. The other album, which is in the same sphere, a little bit earlier than that, is "Out Come the Wolves" by Rancid, which is California punk and just sounds like a sunny day listening to punk on the beach. And it's just one of the things I love about it is a lot of the choruses are also that unison sort of thing that like we do.
Right.
So that energy is like still the same thing. Oh, the chorus is coming up and it's like, hanging on the corner. I even remember being, I think it was here in Austin, and there was people here from Mexico City to see Rancid, and like they just knew every lyric, and they didn't speak English, but they knew every lyric. And I was there like next to them, like hanging on the corner 50s. I mean, it just, that album has that energy, and just songwriting wise, it's also very good. And it's yeah, so
Yeah.
Those are
Proving
two
the
songs.
point of the importance of music, how it can unify people from totally different parts of the world.
yeah,
Language doesn't matter. It's just that connection that music creates, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
What about you?
Yeah. Not picking any of like the Latin albums.
No
or
Latin.
Okay. No salsa stuff. Honestly, one of the, I'll also give you two. Transatlanticism by Death Cab for Cutie.
Okay.
Death Cab is probably my favorite band. That's,
Really? See, that's why I'm
yeah, huge indie rock guy.
who would
I-
have thought?
I love that band. That album is the album where Jason McGurr joined on drums. That's his first album with that band. I would say it's no surprise that that's the first album that super blew up and went triple platinum or whatever. I think he's my favorite drummer. I think he's like, I think he's the most creative like drum part writer since like Ringo or Neil Peart. Like I think he's
Apparently it's Peart. My whole life I thought
Peart,
it was
yeah, it
Peart,
is-
but
it
it's
is
actually
Peart.
apparently it's Peart.
I know. I knew that. And I went. I was like, I'll just give him Peart because that's what everybody wants to. I didn't want to be pretentious by being the drum nerd that actually knows it's pronounced Neil Peart.
Right.
But
It's Moog, not
Yeah.
Moog.
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh damn. Okay. I didn't know that. And then another album that I listen to frequently is Chet Baker Sings.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with it, and I listen to it, I listen to it constantly. It's always it's always in the top rack on my record stand. It's close by. So, cause he's the best, he's my favorite vocalist of all time. And then that album just has such, he picked such great songs and everything. So those two albums are like obviously the two most important, or arguably the two most important albums to me.
Badass. Yeah, Chet. A lot of people miss on him.
Oh.
And I'll get vocals. Go ahead.
So yeah, you're right. And one of my favorite things, so Parker Jazz Club here in Austin, Texas,
Shout out to Chris Kimura.
shout out to Chris Kimura, another Texas State.
Yep.
Uh,
He led my
legend.
horn section for many years.
yeah, he's the man. I don't know him super well. I've met him a couple times, but he's the man. And then he'll do every few months, he'll do like Chet Baker night, because he's also obsessed with Chet Baker.
Not as much as Mel Torme, but yes.
Yeah, but he'll do Chet Baker night, so it's him and like the house combo,
Yeah.
just doing a night of nothing but Chet Baker tunes. And I've been once to see that show, and it's amazing. I check that calendar
Nice.
all the time.
I didn't know about that. I'm going to have to check that out.
If you know what, talk to Chris and tell him to schedule another one, please, because
Okay.
I check a lot. I haven't seen
I'll
it in a
text him
while.
after this.
Please
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
let's do
yeah.
another Chet Baker night, and then also let me know so I can get tickets early.
Yeah. And if anybody out there, if you haven't been to Parker Jazz Club here in town, mwah.
Fantastic club.
So on the Chet tip, just real quick, a lot of people, especially singers, sleep on it. They don't realize really what's going on. And I'll have vocal students. I tend to take more advanced vocal students. And it's like, if you're having trouble, like if I hear too much vibrato or they're scooping into notes too much, I was like, you need to go listen to Chet Baker because he is laser. Like he just hits the notes so perfectly.
Yes.
And then jumps
beautifully. And there's no scooping. He just lands them. It is unbelievable.
It's so clean, and there's so much like affectation in other jazz vocalists, especially.
Correct.
Which
is annoying.
I think so. Oftentimes, I mean, obviously, there's like legends who are great at it, and you love we love a legend because of like their character.
Yeah.
But then you have a million
Offshoots.
people that inspired by that, and so then it's like you're doing that Nat King Cole thing because you love Nat King Cole.
Yeah.
But don't do that.
But you're not Nat King Cole.
You shouldn't be. You're
not Billie Holiday.
Yeah, you shouldn't be singing like that from your teeth like that.
Right.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
And you're doing an affectation, or you're like putting on a character.
Yeah. I mean, being inspired and going through that process as musicians, we know
Totally.
you imitate and you steal, and then that turns into your own thing. But if it never turns into your own thing, then that's a problem. Right?
Yeah. But Chet is like you said, just the cleanest, most. There's no pretense around any of his note choice. It's just he lets it speak for itself.
Yeah.
And
and his story is unbelievable. And just being a trumpet player probably informs that ear and that precision because he was forced to sing. But anyway, that's a whole other. That's 3 other episodes.
Yeah, we can do that forever.
So last thing, you guys, I guess what's on the horizon for the rest of the year for Animeros? There's an album coming out soon. What else?
Well, we have more tour opportunities. After the album comes out, trying to push the album. We're gonna do as much of it as we can.
Yeah.
Feasibly to while still maintaining our sanity in our lives.
Any last minute thoughts, Mauro?
No.
No.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh,
I mean,
of course.
Yeah, and thank you for being such a huge. Like honestly, you playing us on Horizontes as many times as you have has been such a honor, man. And it's really, I've loved Horizontes forever. And then when you announced that you were taking over, I thought that was like the perfect situation because I think you're absolutely the guy to have that show.
Thank you.
And so we just I can't say enough thanks for all the support you've shown us,
dude.
Personally since you have your platform, and I think you use it better than any other radio guy I know.
Thank you, man.
So thank you for everything, man.
No, it's it's relations and community. That's what it's about. So thank you. I appreciate that. But I don't play stuff I don't like. So if it sucks, it doesn't make it in. Sorry. So keep doing quality, and I'll keep supporting you. And y'all are great. I love y'all. So thank you very much for coming in, and good luck with the rest of the year and the album. And
Thanks, awesome. Man. Thank you for having us.
Cheers.
And thanks to Waterloo for letting us be here again.
Yeah.